Hello. We are back with another episode of Turn the Page podcast. I am your host, Paige, and I am so grateful to have you here. We have been doing this for 24 weeks. Like, I can't even believe it. And I'm so excited and I'm so grateful that I have the support that I have to show up here and be heard and to allow my story to hopefully allow you to find something within it that feels so warm and welcoming to your heart and resonates deeply with where you are at this moment or with something that you've gone through in the past. And so, once again, thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. And this week, I once again am going to get really vulnerable with you guys because there has been so much that has come up for me in this last month. The month of September, I felt like was this excavation of my soul. And I know that that sounds really dramatic, but it it rings true. I feel like internally there was so much that I was going through, trying to understand. And it was like this continuous upheaval of old emotional patterns, awareness around limiting beliefs and fears and things that have been holding me back for so long in my life, and understanding that they don't serve me now and who I am. They protected me in the past and past versions of myself, and they kept me safe within the world. And so there is a version of gratitude that I can express for these things. But now, where I am and where I desire to go, those things, they can't come with me because they're no longer serving me. They're not allowing me to grow. And that's really scary and really uncomfortable. And being in this in between, it's like knowing that these patterns and these beliefs and these fears from the past can no longer serve me. They can no longer come with me, but not having any kind of certainty of what is to come. And I've really had to come to the understanding that it's not about understanding what is coming. It's about understanding where exactly I am right here, right now, in this moment. And so I've had to spend some time with these fears and these limiting beliefs and these old emotional patterns and really see them, really understand them. And one of the biggest ones that have played such a huge factor in my life, starting around the age of 13, is this teeter totter that I've always been on of having a fear of being judged and a desire for being validated by the world. So, with that, with these two things existing inside of me, still to this day, because I'm still struggling with it to this day, I have had to get really familiar with the why. And like I said, this started for me at the age of 13. I think it was the first time that I really felt judged. And I think that that can be very common for all of us, especially in our teen years. We start to become aware of the external world. We start to become aware of the expectation the world has of us. We start to recognize body language and energy, even if we don't understand it. That feeling is there. And we, most of the time, were conditioned to not listen to it and told to play a part. That can be really hard when you are young when you are an empath, when you have a big personality, when you live in a small community. Take your pick. Those things can all play factors in this pattern that we create. And so I had a session with my energy healer last week, and I visualized myself at 13. I visualized that feeling of walking into a gymnasium and feeling judged. And I feel as though I was judged for many things. Number one, I was very outgoing, I was very loud. I had a lot to say and typically did it with some sarcasm and smartass remarks, a lot of projections, but also just part of who I am. If any of you know me now, like I compensate a lot with humor and I talk a lot and I can get very loud and I am an oversharer and I want people to feel comfortable in my presence. And I think that that being an innate part of my personality at that age, I didn't necessarily know how to wield it in an empowered way because, who does? And I was trying to protect myself and keep myself safe and fit in and all of the things. But when all of that comes together, it can be a little bit of a perfect storm. And, you know, the way that I have always looked has attracted attention to begin with. And you add a big personality to that. And again, more attention comes flowing your way. With any kind of attention, there is going to be a negative side effect of that. And that is what we all learn in our lives. That is something that we learn when we share on social media. It doesn't matter what it is, there is always going to be some shadow with the light. Sometimes the bigger the light, the bigger the shadow. For me, that shadow started to really creep in at that age. I started to notice. I started to hear people identify me with words as rebellious or wild or too much or too loud. And that feeling sucks. Like that feeling sucks. Feeling judged for just trying to be yourself or trying to fit in, especially at a young age, especially in a small town, especially when everybody knows who you are, everybody knows your family, everybody recognizes you and, has heard perceptions of who you are based on what other people have told them. And it can really make you feel trapped. And I know that that is not just my experience. I know that many people have felt that way in many capacities. It doesn't matter if you're being labeled as the wild one or the golden boy. Like that expectation can be really hard to hold on to. And I think that that's another part of this journey that I've been on this last month is letting go of all of these labels and these identifications that no longer serve me. They no longer identify who I am. Am I still loud? Yes, but I don't have to be all of the time. Am I still fun and outgoing and a little bit wild? Yeah, absolutely. But not every single day, not always when I'm out in public am I the one that wants to be, you know, driving the conversation or making everybody laugh. I love when I have the energy and the capacity for that. But there's a big part of me that needs to be in the quiet, that gets overstimulated really easily, that needs rest and time at home. I think that I've really started to embrace both sides of my personality and who I am in the last few years. But that doesn't mean that I can't ignore the patterns that this fear that was created when I was 13 has really continued throughout my life. And the way that those fears of being judged have stuck with me because even if I'm not acting on them anymore, they're still playing in the background of my mind. And that can get really exhausting. And so diving into this fear of being judged, this fear of being judged and how this came into fruition when I was 13, 14, 15, 16, all of these years through high school, all of these years through my 20s, and even now in my 30s. And one of the things that I've always done in reaction to that is like knocking myself down, calling myself weird, making fun of myself, making myself the butt of the joke before somebody else could do it. And in that ripple effect, it's been really hard for me to take myself seriously. And I feel like a part of me has stayed trapped as this 13-year-old that's never going to be a grown up, that's never going to be taken seriously, that's never going to be seen for who she truly is now and always going to be categorized for who she was then. That's not true. That's not true. Maybe by some people, but those aren't my people. And it's the belief that I've been carrying that has been keeping me smaller than what anybody else actually thinks about me. Because do you know what I've also realized is that most of the time, those people that I think are judging me are actually sitting there in their own heads, worried about themselves being judged, worrying about their own limiting beliefs and their own insecurities and their own fears and their own anxieties. And when we can find that freedom, I can't say that I found it yet, but I've at least had the awareness of it come in. When we can find that freedom, though, fully, I believe that that's when we can start expressing ourselves and our authenticity in such a more empowered way. And so that's what I'm working towards. That's what I'm working towards. And that's what I'm beginning to understand that I truly desire. And I am so tired of really exuding all of this energy when I'm in public spaces, whether it's walking into a gymnasium to one of my daughter's volleyball games, or into a wedding reception, or into a coffee shop. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where I'm going, but I'm tired of being in those situations and all of my energy becoming drained because my mind won't shut the fuck up. Because it won't shut up or stop worrying about, oh my gosh, what do they think about how I look? What do they think about how I say? What do they think about me being too loud? What do they think about me being too quiet? What do they think about me not being my most outgoing, bubbly self? Realistically, they're probably not thinking about me at all. And if they are, that's also okay. They can do that. But I don't have to let it dictate who I am, where I am, and how I'm feeling in that moment. And again, it's less about the other people and it's more about me. One of the most profound thoughts that I have had in the last 24 hours, because I wrote it down in my journal, is that this season of my life is not about building bridges so that I can create safety within the world. It's about building bridges so that I can create safety within all that I am and embracing all that I am instead of making that palatable for all of the people that surround me. The people who love me will stay. The people who love me will be there. And it's okay if some of them don't get it. It's okay. I tell Macy this all of the time. It's okay for people to not like you because you are not going to like every single person that you meet. You don't have to be mean or rude or unkind. You can always be kind. You can always be a genuine person, even with people that aren't your people. But you can create boundaries. You can understand how that person may drain your energy. You can understand that that person is just not one of your people. That's okay. There is nothing wrong with that. You are not for everybody. You are not for everybody. And I think that that is a permission and that is a lesson that if we all learned, I'm hoping, teaching this to my 13-year-old, if we all learned at a younger age, then maybe we would stop judging ourselves so harshly. And that fear of judgment would diminish, at least in the slightest. Because as I have navigated so much of my healing, this fear this fear of judgment has still stayed with me. It has still been there. And it feels like a massive purging to be addressing it and to acknowledge that, yeah, like there's days where I feel so whole and empowered and embodied in who I am and how I look and what I want my life to look like and how I wish to show up. And then there's other days where it feels like a constant walk of shame. It feels like a constant walk of shame. It doesn't matter where I am or who I'm around. It feels like this constant walk of shame, and my mind just won't quit. It's why I used to drink, because the alcohol turned off that noise. The alcohol turned off that noise in the moment. But do you know what it did the next day? It cranked the volume 100 times as loud. And that's the thing, when you try and run from these fears or these beliefs or these ways in which your subconscious is controlling you, it's only going to get louder. It's only going to get louder. And so that's what I'm here doing. I'm addressing it. And I hope that if you resonate with this message, it's allowing you to address it too in your own way, in your own time. Talking out loud to yourself in the mirror, using your voice in a way that frees you from this control that is not serving us, so that we can embark on this new chapter, this new beginning, God, and make it the best one yet. Make it the best one yet. That's my goal. That's my goal each and every day. That's my goal each and every year, is to just show up more empowered, to show up more confident, to show up more loving. And again, instead of creating that, doing the work that has to be done to create that within the world with relationships and the people around us, but doing that within ourselves, doing that in here so that we feel safe and comfortable when we just show up in this body with these faces, with these voices, with these ideas and these dreams and beliefs that are going to push us forward instead of keeping us small. Doesn't that sound fantastic? It sounds fucking great to me. So let's do it together. Let's do it together. You and me, right here, right now. Let's do it together. Because, oh God, we need community. We need each other. We need support. But we have to be the source of it for ourselves first. It's us and God, baby. Like right here. That piece of God that was placed within all of us. That is where it has to come from first. And then we get to go and share and receive it with the world. And now on the opposite side of this fear of being judged is the desire and the need for validation. Now, what do I mean by that? That means that, again, let's go back to walking in the gymnasium. We're walking into the gymnasium with this fear of being judged, but also looking for a sense of validation. Do I look pretty? Do they notice me? Does my body look good enough? Do these clothes look cute enough? Do they like me? Do they want to be my friend? Are they glad that I'm here? All of those things, all of those thoughts. And then you feel, at least for me, and I feel silly and stupid for thinking those things because it feels like a shame. It's like, God, Paige, you're so self-absorbed. God, Paige, you're so conceited. God, you're so selfish. Why are you so concerned about how you look and whether or not people are noticing you? Because it kept me safe. Because my looks, my beauty, my body kept me safe for so long. I knew how to use it to be able to feel accepted. And I'm not going to shame myself for that anymore. It's a reality, but it's also not going to be my driving force. And so when I'm in these situations, I haven't necessarily figured out what to do about it, but I have attained the awareness to observe it. I went to a wedding reception this weekend and I caught myself teetering back and forth with these thoughts, with these beliefs, with these fears the whole night internally. Now, did it ruin my experience? No. Did it probably drain my energy a little faster than it would have been drained? Yeah. But I was proud of myself for observing it, not letting it stop me, not letting it keep me small, but also recognizing that we are all unique and beautiful in our own ways. And it's important for us to acknowledge that in other people. You know, I love passing out compliments. So I passed out compliments. I learned that we all are so similar. It's insane. It's insane. And I think the only way that we move through it is to address it, to talk about it. At least I fucking hope so, because if not, I'm not sure what the hell this whole point of this podcast is. But that desire for validation gave me such a sense of worth. And it felt so good when I received it. It still does. But when I didn't, it sent me spiraling. Now I don't spiral. I still observe. I get a little frustrated and pissed off with myself that I'm still desiring it. But I think that that is something that is common. It's so common for all of us, especially women. Especially women. Worried about our bodies, worried about our clothes, worried about how we look, our hair and our makeup. And it's important to, number one, have people around you that love you and see you and can help you untangle those webs when they get loud, turn down those noises when they start screaming. But again, it's about the relationship that we have with ourselves. It's about the way in which we observe it and then we choose to do something about it. And me choosing to do something about it was sit down this morning and write it out and journal and then decide to record a podcast episode on it, because this is me using my voice and this is me addressing my fears. And this is me expressing myself in an authentic way so that other people out there know that they're not alone. God, you're not alone in the madness inside your mind. You're not alone. And I have had a long, long road of embracing my body and my looks and knowing that that's not all I'm worth. It's a great part. I appreciate it. I appreciate my face and my body. And I appreciate that this life that I've been given and this vessel that gets to carry me through it. But my message, my voice, my wisdom, my healing, my heart, my energy, my spirit, those things are what really matter. Yeah, the body matters too, but it's not the most important. It's not the most important. And I've also had this big realization this week come up that I've had to observe and had to check myself on. And I shared a TikTok about it, that what fucks me up the most about social media is this really easy way that it makes me devalue how I look and what I have and what I'm creating, because there's so much out there. There's so much out there that feeds the consumerism of the world, not the creativity. And that tells us that we need to have more and that we need to buy more and that we need to create more and look a certain way so that we can be digestible in this society, so that we can be aesthetically pleasing. Life's not always aesthetically pleasing. And it's in the least aesthetically pleasing moments that I have gathered the most wisdom. And so I have to remind myself of that. I have to remind myself of that. It's in the messy moments that beauty still exists. It's still there. It still matters. And it's not about the validation. It's about the intention. It's about the purpose. It's about the ways in which we allow ourselves to be of service to life and to God and to ourselves and to our families and to this world, and that ripple effect that creates more light, so that we can survive the shadows. Comparison is the thief of joy. And it's really hard not to compare. But if we can compare with compassion for ourselves and an understanding that we don't have to actually listen or act on those comparisons, that matters. We're human, you know? We're not going to get it right all of the time. Most of the time, it's actually where we learn the greatest lessons that this life can teach us. But I don't know. This space between has been very interesting. And I feel like it's kind of stripping me raw. I've said that before many times. And it feels very vulnerable, but it also feels like such a relief. It feels like such a relief to acknowledge it, to acknowledge these fears that have held me captive so that I can set them aside, so that I can speak to my inner child, that 13-year-old girl, and I can remind her, like, hey, I got you. I got you. You don't need to feel safe within the world. You get to feel safe here within me, where we are. I know why you made the decisions that you made, and you didn't know any better. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be a blanket of shame that we carry around with us anymore. We get to show up and be authentic and be where we are and be who we are in this moment and allow that to change and evolve and grow. And the people who love us, they will embrace us. It doesn't matter that we became a mom at such a young age. It doesn't matter that life has been messy and we have had to learn a lot of really hard lessons. Those things have gotten us here. These parts of ourselves that have protected us. They may not be serving us in the future, but they found a way to serve us in the past, and we're not going to shame ourselves for it. And so I don't want you to shame yourself either. Okay? That's why I'm telling both of us, you and me, all of these things, is because it's just not doing it. It's not cutting it. And that's okay. So we're acknowledging it. We're acknowledging it. We're observing. We're observing so that we can be led to what is next. We're observing so that we can be led to what is next that is meant for us. The baggage has gotten too heavy. And so we're going to set it down. We're going to set it down so that we can move forward. We're going to focus on the fact that it's not about being comfortable within the world. It's about being comfortable with all that we are. And as we continue to learn more and more about ourselves, we are going to embrace whatever comes up, and we're not going to shame it because shame doesn't get us anywhere. It keeps us stagnant. It keeps us stuck. And you're not alone in that. We all have it. We are just deciding that it's too heavy to keep carrying. And so here we are, once again, ready to really push ourselves out of our comfort zone, test ourselves, and challenge ourselves to be all that we are each and every day. And so I want to challenge you to set something down that is too heavy to keep carrying, that is keeping you small. Write it down, burn it, bury it. Don't let your dreams and desires become short-sighted by the fear of judgment or a need for validation. Move through it. Move through it with confidence and empowerment and this knowing that it was put inside your heart for a reason. We don't have to allow fear to write our story any longer. Do it for you. Do it for yourself at 13, 16, 20, whatever age, and do it for the you that is listening to this conversation right now. Oh, yeah, that felt good. I don't know about you guys, but I feel great right now. I hope you guys feel super great listening to this. And I'm so grateful once again to have you here. I'm so grateful to share with you and to just allow this community to continue to grow. I love you all so, so much. I hope you have a beautiful day. And I would love for you to come say hi over on Instagram, TikTok, or Facebook at Turn the Page Podcast. Please like, follow, subscribe, all of the things so that we can connect more and more as we continue on this journey. And I will see you next week. Bye bye.